Picture yourself in that moment you know so well. The crowded space, voices merging into white noise, lights casting soft shadows across unfamiliar faces. Then suddenly across the room, she appears. Something about her pulls at you in ways that transcend mere physical beauty. There's an indefinable quality that makes your pulse quicken. You steel yourself, cycling through countless conversation starters in your mind, rejecting each one as inadequate. You wait for that perfect window when her companion walks away, when the ambient noise drops just enough, when your gazes might naturally intersect. The moment finally materializes, you inhale deeply, cross the distance between you, and deliver your carefully rehearsed introduction. What follows is devastating in its silence, an emotional vacuum. Perhaps a courteous smile that somehow cuts deeper than outright dismissal. Or worse still, eyes that register you as background scenery, nothing more. You retreat to your original position, ego bruised, mind racing through an endless loop of self interrogation. Where did your words fail? Should the timing have been different? Was your attempt at humor misguided? Here's the reality that simultaneously wounds and liberates. The interaction wasn't doomed the instant you spoke. It was already decided 10 minutes earlier, long before you made your move. The signs were broadcasting clearly, but you existed in a state of perceptual blindness to the singular communication system that operates without deception, the silent vocabulary expressed through physical presence and movement. From our earliest years, we inhabit a reality of verbal disguise. Social conditioning teaches us to voice appreciation we don't genuinely feel, to project cheerfulness when internal turmoil rages, to verbally consent when every fiber of our being resists. Language has evolved into our protective camouflage, the armor we wear in social combat, yet one dimension of human existence refuses to participate in this masquerade. The subconscious mind operates on different principles entirely, like a captive seeking any avenue of communication with the outside world. It persistently transmits messages through the only channel it controls completely, the physical body. The revolutionary thinker who first explored the hidden depths of human consciousness, Sigmund Freud, constructed his entire theoretical framework on a singular foundational concept. Whatever we attempt to suppress in the deepest recesses of our awareness will inevitably surface. It emerges through linguistic errors we dismiss as meaningless, through nocturnal visions we consider random nonsense, and most significantly for our purposes, through involuntary fleeting physical responses. Every seemingly random leg adjustment, every unmotivated head turn represents an encoded transmission from authentic, unfiltered internal states. This moment isn't about memorizing rehearsed approaches or discovering magical techniques. We're embarking on something far more valuable. We're restoring your ability to perceive reality as it truly exists. You're about to learn the skill of interpreting the continuous broadcast that her physical form transmits every single moment. We're decoding the two most truthful, most primal, and most potent signals within feminine nonverbal communication. The initial signal functions as her unconscious directional indicator, an internal navigation system that consistently points toward genuine desire. The second signal, more nuanced and personal, represents the vocabulary of attraction that her body activates long before cognitive processes can intervene. Absorb this information completely, and you'll transcend passive observation in life's complex social choreography. You'll transform into someone who can decode hidden meanings concealed in plain sight. Begin by discarding every assumption you've accumulated about reading feminine interest. Abandon your reliance on interpreting eye contact, analyzing facial expressions, or decoding folded arms. These represent the surface layer of conscious communication, elements she controls with the same precision she applies to her verbal language. We're descending to a far deeper, fundamentally honest level where we're examining her feet. Yes, you understood correctly. The most truthful component of a woman's physical presence exists at ground level. The explanation is simultaneously straightforward and profound, rooted in neurobiological architecture. Human brain structure follows a hierarchical organization. The upper regions house the neocortex, our evolutionarily recent cognitive apparatus responsible for rational thought, language production, and deliberate control. This is the system that commands your facial muscles to smile at authority figures you privately despise. Beneath this lies an ancient, powerful structure known as the limbic system, our emotional or reptilian brain. This primitive processor doesn't comprehend linguistic nuance. It operates on three fundamental imperatives: confront, escape, or immobilize. It governs instinctive responses, survival mechanisms, and attraction impulses. The greater the distance between a body part and the control center located in the skull, the weaker the neocortex's conscious regulation, and the stronger the influence of the honest, instinctive limbic system. We master facial control by age 5, learn to regulate hand gestures by 10 to disguise nervousness, but nobody ever provides instruction on controlling foot positioning. Feet represent a direct extension of our reptilian consciousness. Her feet function as polygraph sensors connected straight to subconscious processing. She can articulate one message verbally while her feet invariably reveal truth. They constitute the flight recorder of authentic intentions. Grasping this fundamental principle transcends simple life improvement. It represents a complete perceptual transformation of social dynamics. You gain access to an information stream that remains imperceptible noise to 99% of men. This is why these insights aren't merely collected facts, but comprehensive tools for your personal arsenal. Understanding this single golden principle changes everything. Wherever her shoe tips point, that's where genuine attention and desire flow. It's the most elementary, foundational, and reliable signal available. Consider concrete scenarios. Visualize her positioned within a tight formation with two companions. She's animated, laughing, engaged in conversation. Her upper body might angle somewhat toward your position. She might even catch your glance and offer a brief smile. An inexperienced observer would interpret this as welcoming. That's a critical error. Direct your attention downward. If both shoe tips aim strictly inward toward her companions, creating a visually enclosed configuration that represents an impenetrable barrier, her subconscious broadcasts unmistakably: I'm completely absorbed in this present interaction. I'm secure and content within my established circle and prefer no interruptions. Any approach attempt at this juncture isn't an introduction, but an intrusion, an assault on defensive walls. The rejection probability stands at 90%. Now consider the alternative. Same setting, identical group dynamic, similar laughter, but one microscopic detail transforms everything. Examine her feet again. Her torso remains oriented toward companions. She's actively participating, but the tip of one shoe, typically the one farthest from her friends, rotates ever so slightly, perhaps 15 to 20 degrees toward you. This is the unconscious gesture her conscious awareness completely overlooks. Her social programming maintains the conversation with companions, but her subconscious, her genuine interest, has already initiated movement toward you. This isn't a grand invitation yet, but it represents a distinctly ajar entrance. It's silent permission, a green signal to begin your advance. Freud would have identified this phenomenon as pure manifestation of the id, that deep primal force operating on the pleasure principle. It desires and acts, disregarding social conventions. Her polite ego, her conscious self, must maintain conversation to avoid offending companions. But her ed has already redirected the body's compass toward the new stimulus that sparked sudden interest. The most beautiful aspect is that 99% of the time, she remains completely unaware of this action. Static foot positioning reveals only half the code. The second equally crucial component hides in micro movements, especially during your approach. Imagine you've detected the ajar door and begin a slow, confident advance in her direction. Observe her feet closely. Suddenly, her previously relaxed foot freezes completely, as if transformed to stone. Is this negative? Does it indicate fear? Absolutely not. This represents a crystal clear limbic system reaction called freezing. A deer in wilderness freezes identically upon hearing an unexpected sound. Its brain must instantly assess whether this represents threat or opportunity. Her reptilian brain detected the approaching entity and commanded halt, focus, evaluate the situation. This is a fantastic indicator. It means you haven't merely been noticed, your appearance carries significance. It triggered an immediate instinctive response. Following the momentary freeze, if she doesn't retreat or turn away, but instead remains positioned while her foot begins shifting weight almost imperceptibly, or her toe starts tapping a nervous rhythm against the floor, an inexperienced man might conclude she's bored or anxious. That's a terrible misreading. This isn't boredom, but the physical manifestation of internal excitement. Your presence triggered an emotional surge within her system, a cocktail of anticipation, curiosity, and mild anxiety. Adrenaline has released into her bloodstream. Her body doesn't know how to process this sudden energy, so it instinctively discharges through the furthest, most uncontrollable point, her feet. Her body literally communicates excitement and intrigue, an invitation to continue closer. If her feet represent the honest compass, revealing unconscious interest direction, then her hips function as the sensitive barometer displaying intention and sexual energy level in that specific moment. We're advancing to the next level, from cold directional logic to hot emotional desire, from simple location to thrilling intensity. This represents a more subtle, intimate, and undoubtedly more powerful signal layer. A woman can learn to control her gaze and force smiles, but she's nearly incapable of consciously regulating how her pelvis and hips react to a man who awakens primal instincts. That reaction begins here. Freud's famous libido concept was oversimplified in popular understanding to mean primitive sexual desire. For Freud himself, it represented something far greater. Life energy itself, the force of attraction, the will to live, the desire to create, build, and connect with another. When a woman encounters a man who resonates on this deep level, he awakens not just interest, but this very libido within her. Her body, especially pelvis and hips, becomes the epicenter broadcasting this suddenly activated energy. As Freud noted, we can never choose what our unconscious reacts to. In our terms, she doesn't choose to react to you with altered walk or hip movement. Her body simply does it, obeying a force older and wiser than conscious mind. A woman's walk isn't constant or fixed. It's a variable directly dependent on internal state and, most importantly, on who's watching. Imagine seeing her walking down a corridor or street, lost in thought. Her walk is functional, perhaps rushed. Then she notices your gaze. If you hold no interest, nothing changes. But if you've sparked interest, magic happens in a split second. Her body unconsciously switches into display mode. Her shoulders instinctively pull back, shoulder blades converge. Her spine straightens, automatically creating a more pronounced, alluring lower back curve. Her steps might become slightly shorter, rhythm slower and more fluid. Most importantly, the amplitude of hip movement increases subtly but noticeably. That slight sway absent seconds ago appears. Why does this occur? This isn't flirtation, but pure biology, the most ancient evolutionary mechanism for displaying health, fertility, and femininity, the same instinct that makes a peacock display its plumage. Her body, in a language understood universally, wordlessly communicates health, life energy, and femininity, asking to be noticed. Most crucially, she doesn't do this for everyone, only for the man her instinct has pre-selected. Witnessing this transformation means you've received a powerful signal that she hasn't just noticed you, but has already reacted. Now for the crown jewel, the most intimate, precise, and hidden signal that 99.9% of men will never detect even while staring directly at it. It occurs when you're already sharing space, but haven't initiated conversation. She's standing at the bar, turned halfway toward you, or in a group listening to a friend. You're several feet away observing. She isn't looking your direction, perhaps pointedly ignoring you. But the moment she thinks about you or feels your appraising gaze, Her body makes a single, barely perceptible movement. She slightly juts or presents one hip in your direction. This isn't a static pose like a model deliberately positioning herself. No, this is specifically a micro movement, a short fluid impulse. It's as if her body opens toward you for a split second, similar to how someone might tilt their head to hear better. In this case, her body is listening to internal attraction and pointing to its source. The psychological meaning is immense. It's an act of subconsciously presenting feminine essence, silently saying, "Here I am. My center of female energy is right here." It's an incredibly vulnerable and honest gesture because the abdominal and pelvic area represents an instinctively protected zone. When she turns it towards you momentarily, she's unconsciously demonstrating trust and openness, lowering an invisible protective barrier. When you observe this signal combined with the first, for example, her feet already turned your direction, and after your eyes meet, she makes this elusive hip movement. Consider it a jackpot. This isn't just a green light, but a flashing neon invitation written in a language older than any words on earth. You've received the key to reading the most intimate signal a woman's body can send to an unknown man. You've learned to see what most men stare at but never notice, dismissing as coincidence. You didn't just learn interesting facts today. You received two universal keys to two of the most hidden locks in feminine body language. The first key is the unconscious compass of her feet, like a navigator's needle showing honest, unfiltered direction of subconscious interest. This is your terrain map indicating where you can proceed and where dead ends exist. The second key is the language of desire in her hips, like a sensitive instrument showing intention and internal sexual energy level. This is your indication of how valuable the treasure the map points to really is. Your primary task is learning to see these signals not separately, but in combination. When you see her compass pointing unmistakably at you and her body begins speaking the sensual language of desire, all doubts, fears, and hesitations should evaporate like morning dew. This isn't imagination or random coincidence. This is biology, psychology, and undeniable truth broadcast in real time. As Freud taught us, our subconscious isn't a silent abyss, but constantly strives to express itself, to break through to the surface. It speaks in whispers, through accidental gestures and causeless movements. Your job isn't attempting to guess thoughts, but learning to listen to the whispers of her body. Today, you've learned to distinguish the two loudest, clearest words in that silent whisper. Stop being blind and start seeing.